Good morning and welcome to the Closing Call podcast with your host. That's me, Jimmy Henderson. So first and foremost, I think you're going to notice we're in a little different setting this morning for the podcast. And at the end of the day, I love the studio that we were in. I love the people that were producing that for us. But I really feel like I want to make more of a genuine connection with you. And I feel like my message would be more genuinely received if we were in an environment that was more real. And that's where I am right now. I'm actually at my desk in my office. The message that I have for you this morning is a little more heartfelt, I guess. It's not anything canned. As a matter of fact, if I'm being real with you, about 48 hours ago, I had no idea what this episode was going to be about. Now, this is a brand new podcast. We're in about 5 or 6 episodes, and I'm really just figuring out what this looks like, both for me and for you as a viewer. I want the Lord to lead this podcast, and obviously, I want it to be beneficial in business and for there to be blessings there. But I also want it to be impactful in your life. So this morning's podcast, ultimately, we're going to get into flipping houses. And so I know that we've got a lot of information on the podcast as far as if you're looking to buy your first house or if you're looking to sell your personal home. I know that there are a lot of you out there that are interested in possibly flipping a house or getting into house flipping. It's been very popular for several years now. We see all of those shows that are out on, HGTV. But at the end of the day, I want to share my heart with you and kind of share some experiences that I've had. My business partner and I have been flipping houses now for going on 6 years, I guess. And if memory serves me right, we've been very blessed. We've done probably right at 50 houses. And I'm being honest with you, we've done very, very well. Let's get started this morning. At the end of the day, you have to decide what it is that you want out of life. And that's different for everybody. I'm a big Dave Ramsey guy. I've liked Dave Ramsey for years. The Total Money Makeover and Financial Peace University that Dave Ramsey does made a huge impact on our life. I remember being crazy in debt, a horrible credit score, really had no hopes financially. I was spinning my wheels. And when I came across this book, it blew my mind. And, we went through the Financial Peace University, and God used that to completely change our lives financially. We paid off all of our debt. We started saving and really, really, really grabbed a hold of our tithing and our offerings at church. You've got Dave Ramsey who says, your biggest wealth building tool is your income. So never take out debt, pay off all of your credit card with a gazelle-like intensity, all of your debts, all your credit cards, and save for a rainy day, and then retire a millionaire. But then you've got, Robert Kiyosaki, which we know to be the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who says, no, borrow everything you can, use other people's money. Why retire a millionaire when you can be a millionaire now? And they're both right. How is that possible? When they are completely opposite in their vision, in their mindset, but they're both right. How is that possible? It depends on you. You have to decide your level of comfort when it comes to investing, when it comes to saving, and what your financial goals are. You have to decide, does risk scare you? If I say to you, I've got an investment opportunity, but there's high risk, but the potential for high rewards, do you immediately say, nope, not my money. I am not putting my money at risk. I worked very hard for that money. Or do you say, tell me about these rewards, right? Like, tell me how much money we can actually make. For me personally, it was kind of an evolutionary process for me, where there was a time that I said, I need to save every penny that I have, and credit cards are evil and I never want to use those again. But through education and searching and really just kind of letting the Holy Spirit lead, I'm an investor. That's what I do full time. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent. I have a team of realtors, but I'm an investor. First and foremost, I invest in single family homes. We do rental properties personally, and we do multifamily. So for apartment buildings and those types of things, I am head of our investor relations for our capital group. And that's what I do. But that was my process. So you have to decide, what is it that I want out of life? The Four Quadrants of Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki, and I believe I've got that title right, but don't quote me on that. Robert Kiyosaki says that all of us fall into 4 categories. So I want to ask you right now, which of these 4 categories do you fall into? One is the E category, which is an employee, which means basically you earn your main source of income as an employee. You work for somebody else, and you clock in or clock out, or maybe you're on salary. You do a job for someone else, and that's what you do, and that's fine. The next category would be the self-employed category, the S quadrant. And that would be, some your entrepreneurs or those people that pretty much work for themselves. They maybe have one employee or a contractor that works for them. And this is going to be, for example, like a real estate agent. Whatever it is, you're cutting yards for yourself, or you're printing t-shirts, or whatever that may be. So you have the E quadrant for the employed, and then the S quadrant for the self-employed or the entrepreneur. And then you have the business owner category, which is kind of the next level up. Business owner would be, you own a small business. Maybe you've got 20 employees or more, up to 500 employees. And then finally, you have the I category, which is the investor. This is somebody that basically makes their money by investing in opportunities or in products, in businesses, in real estate, whatever that may be. So you're moving money around to make money, as opposed to going out and clocking in at a regular job. And it very well could be that you are actually making money in a few of these different categories. Maybe you are an employee while at the same time you have a side job that you're making money in. So you're actually an E for the employee quadrant, and you're also an S for the self-employed. So you have to identify where you are right now, and then also identify where you'd like to be. And I knew for me, when I started reading more, I started learning more. I love going to conferences and workshops and learning and kind of pouring in knowledge. I was an employee way back 14 years ago, as I believe in '09. So yeah, in October will be 14 years that I left the E quadrant and moved into the self-employed quadrant when I opened up my insurance agency. That's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to get out of the employee quadrant and get into the self-employed, and then eventually, ultimately make it into the I quadrant, which is where I am now. But again, I still make money in a couple different quadrants. I'm self-employed. But at the same time, I'm an investor. So you have to ask yourself what it is that you want to do. There's nothing wrong with staying in the E quadrant unless that's not where you're supposed to be, right? We need school teachers. We need police officers, people to work at the grocery store. I mean, imagine if you didn't have someone to deliver your mail, right? We need those people. They're vital. Again, this is a different process for everybody, but you have to decide what you want. I know I was a business banker at a large bank here in the area. I was actually managed a few different branches, and my job was to identify business owners and help them with the financial piece of their business. So that would be everything from identifying somebody who was operating a business out of their personal account and say, listen, there's a better way to do that. We have better products for you with business accounts and savings accounts, and then move into other products like business credit cards, lines of credit, that type of thing. As I grew that piece of my career, I was surrounded every day with business owners. And these would be people that are doing a couple $1 million, few $1 million a year in revenue. And I'm helping them with, $250,000 lines of credit and $50,000 credit cards. And at the time I was doing well. I was 30 years old. I think the last year I was employed, I made about $72,000. And keep in mind, that was 14 years ago. I don't have a college degree. I barely graduated high school. And so I thought I was doing well, but I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I felt the Lord was leading me in a different direction. I actually had two people sit across my desk within about a week and a half time. And both of them, who were believers, said to me, you need to be running your own business. You need to be doing something for yourself. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't have any skills, right? Like I couldn't roof. I wasn't a mechanic. I wasn't an accountant. I had experience in banking and telecom, right? But unless I was going to open up a phone company or a bank, nobody was going to pay me to, talk to them, right? Like I was good with people, but not enough to where someone would pay me money to talk to me and I could make a living. So I actually reached out to my insurance agent, Adrian Morales from Morales Insurance over on the south side of Fort Worth on Berry Street. I said, hey, I want to take you to lunch. And I said, I want you to tell me, how'd you get started? I knew that he had been in the business for a long time. And I remember asking him then, I said, and I hope, Adrian, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. But I said, let me be honest with me. Are you making at least 100,000 a year? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm making 100 grand. I said, okay, because to be honest, you've been in this 10 years and you're not making 100 grand, that's not the door I want to be knocking on. And so, he shared his heart with me, and he said, Jimmy, to be honest, we struggled for about 2 years, and then we got our feet under us and we started doing well. He said, but Jimmy, if you don't have at least $10,000 in the bank, don't do it. I had no money, zero. I mean, we had like $1,500 in a 401k, right? Like, we had no money. And so, of course, I did it with no money. I went out and I went and ordered the books online to schedule to test for my insurance license. I read the book myself. I couldn't afford to take a class. I didn't have any money. And again, we were horrible with money at the time. I remember my wife drove me to the testing appointment to take my test because I had to finish reading the book. I hadn't even finished reading the book. It was so funny. So she took me there and I passed the test. I had taken off that Friday so I could go take the test. I put a deposit down in an office on Saturday, and I went to work on Monday, and I got fired. Long story. It was there was a gentleman that I was trying to help out. He had opened up a restaurant, had no money in his account, was about to lose his liquor license because he was going to bounce a check, and I loaned him 300 and something bucks. If you work in banking, you can't mix your personal funds with your business, and so they let me go. But it was the best thing that happened to me. And I was able to focus full-time on my insurance agency, which after a couple of years started turning a pretty decent profit. And that's what allowed me to get into real estate, because I had that income from the insurance agency. And then I knew that real estate, while I love real estate, I love people, I love helping people, I love doing what I do, that's not the ultimate goal for me. But real estate has then lifted me up and provided the income that I need to be able to evolve into a full-time investor. So that's going to be different for everybody. So that's kind of my story. That is what the Lord has done in my life to bring me to the point that I am. But I realize I want to give back. And I know that if you have an interest in moving out of the employee category and possibly into the self-employed or business owner or even the investor side, I want to help you with that. And so what it looked like for me may not be what it is for you, but I want to give you an opportunity. I really, really believe that somebody with a decent head on their shoulders with some common sense can flip a house and can actually make some pretty good money. So I'll tell you, the first house that I flipped, let me share that with you. My business partner, Jacob, and we had talked about getting into flipping for a while. He owned a business and I owned a couple of businesses, and he was doing really well. As a matter of fact, he was doing better than I was. But we said we want to go into business together. And there was a lady, poor thing, she was probably in her mid 60s, and her daughter had passed away, but her daughter owned this house free and clear. So her daughter passed away, and the house went to the son, the young adult son, who just trashed the house, right? Like he did. He had parties there. He didn't care for it. And so he ended up losing the house, went back to grandma. So grandma went in and ripped the carpet out because it was trash. There were holes all in the walls. And so she called someone that she found to do the sheetrock repair, retexture it, paint it, and she was going to sell it. Well, this was a friend of mine who had done some work for me before, and he told her to call me. So she called, and I was going to help her sell this house. And I said, well, listen, we really need to get some floor down because you only have concrete on the floors. And if you're going to put the house on the market, in order to be financeable, if that's a word, you have to have some kind of a floor covering. And they had stolen the outside unit of the air conditioner. So I said, you got to get a new outside unit for the AC, and you got to get floors put down. It's going to cost you probably $6,000. And she said, I don't have $6,000. And I said, well, if you put the house on the market as is, it's only going to go to an investor because someone has to pay cash for it. And you're not going to get as much. And she said, it is what it is. I'm okay with that. So I remember talking to Jacob about it, and he said, why don't we buy it? We said, okay, so what does that look like? I think we bought it for about $128,000, and neither of us had $128,000 sitting in the bank. And so I went to a hard money lender. And I know you've heard about hard money lenders. As a matter of fact, the hard money lender that we went to on our very first flip is going to be my guest on next week's podcast. And so you'll want to like and subscribe so you can be a party to that. But I went to her, and Jacob and I went to her and said, here's what we want. Here's the budget. She said, all right, rock and roll, go pay for it. So we bought that house cash using a hard money lender. We funded the repairs ourselves, but they were probably no more than $12,000 or $13,000. We put in new carpet, we put in granite, it was already freshly painted. We got a new AC unit for the outside. changed the light fixtures, new ceiling fans, that kind of stuff. A couple little touch-ups, and it sold for 185,000, if I remember right, 182, 185 in like 2 days. And we made like 17,000, something like that on that very first house. I mean, right out of the park, in my opinion. And it blew my mind because it took us 2 weeks to do it. I said, how in the world did we just make like 15 grand, let's say, in 2 weeks? And it was fun. We loved that. And we knew right then we just started a business, and we've started flipping houses since then. And, we branched out, we brought on new contractors, had a few different groups going at one time. We probably average about $35,000 in free profit every single house. The biggest grossing house we did was around 70 grand. And yeah, we've lost money on houses. I believe there were 2 houses that we lost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 on. There were 2 of those, if I remember right. Every other one we've done very well on. I was an insurance agent and a real estate agent, and he would sell tools to mechanics out in Arlington. We weren't financial gurus. We weren't general contractors at the time, and we did very well. And I can show you how to do that. I can put you together with the right contacts with our hard money lender. I mean, if you've got some money saved aside, set aside, even better. But maybe you say, well, Jimmy, I've got a burning desire to get into that, to start flipping houses, but I don't really have a lot of money. I don't have any money saved up, or maybe I don't have great credit. That's okay. I can still help you. There's a great term that we use in the investing world. It's called OPM. You need OPM. Now, not opium, that's something different, and you probably don't need opium, but OPM, which means other people's money. I can show you how to use other people's money to start putting money in your pocket and eventually lead you to financial freedom if that's what you feel the Lord has for your life. I need you to stay tuned the next couple of podcasts because we're going to be rolling out a class. I'm going to put on a class completely free. It's information only. It'll probably be about a 30 or 40-minute class where I'm going to introduce you to the world of flipping. I'm going to show you the general model that we use, that we still use today, that is still very beneficial, still very fruitful and profitable for us in business. And I'm going to show you that model, and I'm going to introduce you to this world, and I'm going to let you know how, regardless of where you are in life, how you can start flipping houses in the next 45 days. We'll even get into how to flip a house and keep it and rent it out so it will bring residual income for you. So we're going to get into all that. I need you to like and subscribe to this video. I need you to subscribe to the channel so you will be notified when the new podcast comes out that will lay out the dates and the specifics for the upcoming class. It's going to be a fantastic class. We'll make sure that we do it around the work schedule. It'll either be in the evening during a work day, it'll be sometime on a Saturday, so that it doesn't interfere with your work schedule, so you can come out and get your questions answered about flipping houses. So hopefully that was encouraging to you. Hopefully that was exciting to you. I know it was exciting for me to be able to share that with you. So yeah, like and subscribe. Get ready for this class. Buckle up, because it is going to be an amazing ride. And I'm super excited to do it for you. So again, I really, truly appreciate you watching this episode of The Closing Call with your host, Jimmy Henderson. That's me. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.